Well, hello. I am Pastor Stapleton, the Executive Director of Mothers of Joy Institute for Parenting and Family Wellness. And today we're doing something a little different. I don't know if you all know that, we still have a virus, right? There's something still in the air. And I wanted to make sure that the family safe space was, that it has its air purifier and that um, we clean effectively because when people come in and out of spaces, um, we just want to make sure that our families are safe. So hopefully you'll get an opportunity to be a part of this class today. First time doing a impromptu class online that is streaming live on three social media platforms, two being Facebook, one being YouTube. So, without any further ado, this is our last class in this particular cohort, and it is understanding boundaries. I just want to give you a little insight on what that is and what we're going to be going into next, right? All right. We're going to talk about today too just a little bit regarding discipline too, because there's a difference between discipline and punishment. And sometimes if you don't know, you may use them in the wrong context. So today is Tuesday, January the 28th, our last class in the Setting Boundaries cohort. Let's talk about what an environment based approach to teaching parents, educators about boundaries, focusing on providing practical strategies and knowledge to help them instill healthy boundaries, setting practices within their children. This approach is grounded in research on child development, psychology, and effective communication techniques. Understanding boundaries, research-based strategies, communication skills, and cultural sensitivity. By actively engaging parents and educators in the evidence-based learning, children are more likely to receive consistent messaging about the importance of boundaries and leading to healthier relationships and personal development. So that's our boundaries. This is our last class in this one, but I wanted to show you this was the flyer for that. So if you saw that, you saw this particular class. Our next cohort will be understanding communications, and that starts next Tuesday. So if you have any questions or if you want to know more about that, you are more than welcome to contact me personally or leave a message within our social media platforms. There's a message box. Now what I want you to do is to get ready to watch a short video. We're going to do two of them today. One talking about the difference between punishment and discipline. Sometimes we get that kind of mixed up. So want you to understand that.
Because you're not being nice. Go stand in the corner. Discipline starts as young as 9 months old. You know when your baby starts throwing food on the ground at 10 months or tries to playfully hit you? Even if it's playful, this is a boundary you're going to set. People think discipline means punishment, and no, discipline to me is consistent and safe boundaries and following through so kids know what preferred behaviors are. Toddler babies at this age are in a cause and effect stage where they are looking at reactions and patterns to their actions and what you're going to do. They drop a spoon and you laugh and put it back on the table. They will do it again. They are testing out patterns and love to see your reaction. With hitting at this age, don't have a big reaction. You hit me. No. The toddler brain at this age does not differentiate between good attention and bad attention. So if you say, you hit me, no hit, to them they got a reaction out of you and will do it again. Instead, say in an even tone voice, we don't hit. We don't hit mama. If they try to hit again, verbalize that you will hold their arms in a big hug or put them down and follow through if they try to hit again. This reaffirms the boundary of no hitting. If they're not completely dysregulated, redirecting them to preferred action is also huge. Nope, no hitting. Can you show me gentle touches? And model a gentle touch on them. Looking for more guidance? Make sure to read below.
Go to the corner.
I really like that video. And the reason why is because what she stated was so true and so practical. A lot of times when we're dealing with children and dealing with the responses, what she stated was true. If a child does something, for one, little kids, we think, oh my god, that's so cute, oh my god, they did that, they got an attitude, or they're mad. um if you start to reward that behavior, they'll continue to do that behavior. But if you disengage with it, don't acknowledge it, it will have to subside. So the difference between discipline and punishment is, discipline is when you correct a behavior. Punishment is when you do something more or less to cause harm, to hurt. So I would prefer, and I hope that moving forward in your parenting, you will want to do more of a discipline, because what we want to do is we want to correct bad behavior, quote unquote misguided behavior, because they're just learning from what they see, right? And then sometime to get a response or a reaction out of how you handle a situation. All right. Our next one is, this is really good, you all. This is a video regarding 5 signs you need stronger boundaries. Sometimes us as parents, we allow our young people to do things because we may be acting out of what's called a guilt. Uh, the parents sometimes, if they haven't been able to provide certain things that your child may want, or give certain things because they may not have the income to do something, they may compensate with more of the giving in to certain boundaries. An example would be is that if you have a child and you tell them, in a couple of days, we can go to the store and we can get you some new shoes. A couple of days comes and maybe your check was short, or maybe you didn't get to do all of the things you needed to do, so that wasn't something that could be done at that time. If that child starts to say things to you like, you always make excuses, or you never follow through, or you never do what you say, there is in the time to create a healthy boundary. And that boundary is that, look, I understand that you're upset, but I'm not going to allow you to talk to me this way. What I'm going to talk to you about is that sometimes things happen that we have no control over, and I had to make an executive decision. I had to make sure that you had food today, and moving forward, I'll do something else to get your shoes. But at this time, I had to make sure that you ate. And a lot of people would feel like, why are you explaining something to a child? Because children are one day going to become young adults and adults. And if you don't talk them through things that happen, they'll always expect you to be at this high level of things. We're people, we're going to make mistakes, we're not going to do everything right, parents. But what you can do is that when you have done something and it did not work out the way that you thought it would, that you talk through it so that that child can understand that this is how the world works, right? There's sometimes there's going to be things that they're not going to be able to have. And sometimes there's going to be things that may make that where that situation might change and they'll be able to have it, but you have to talk through it. So let me let me get this. This is really good. So yeah, here we go.
How it works. That app is called Audible. It's created by.
Imagine this. You consistently say yes to requests even when they drain your energy.
Yes, yes, yes.
You bite your tongue when someone insults you because you don't want to deal with the conflict. Over time, you become a simmering pot of resentment that shows up in snarkiness and low self-worth. These are just some of the outcomes of having weak boundaries. I'm Dr. Tracy Marks, a psychiatrist, and I make mental health education videos. Today, I'm going to give you 5 signs that you need stronger boundaries. Number 1 is overcommitting or people pleasing. An example of this is consistently agreeing to take on tasks when you feel overloaded. You may fear disappointing the person or fear that saying no will feel mean or withholding. We all have a narrative identity. This is the story about yourself that you have in your head that brings together your past, present, and future and gives you purpose. I will talk more in detail about narrative identity and how to uncover yours in another video that will be linked to this one. Let's say part of your narrative identity is that you're not a selfish person and that selfishness is saying no to something that you're capable of doing. There are no unreasonable requests, and if you have the ability or skill to do something, there's no legitimate reason to say no. Saying no is denying others. You could believe this because this attitude was modeled for you by an authority figure or someone that you looked up to. And this didn't have to be during childhood.
I know you never thought you'd be here. Over 40,
I love
successful,
when
and
this
still
happens,
looking
don't
for
you?
love. Endless swipes, countless dates, and still no connection. It's frustrating, isn't it?
You could have been in an adult relationship with a person with a strong personality who convinced you that saying no is selfish. Or you could be very sensitive to other people's feelings and have a low threshold of tolerance for seeing people disappointed. Whatever the source, if this is your mindset, you will be prone to overcommitting to things and doing things that you
Mhm.
really don't want to do, but feel obligated to do to spare someone else disappointment. What can you do about this? Keep in mind that strengthening boundaries is an iterative process. You make small changes and continue to revise. The power behind saying no will come from identifying your needs, wants, and values first so that you can remind yourself of why you're saying no. Your need or value is the justification for saying no. Then start by saying no to low stakes situations. These are things that have the least personal impact. The small no's will help you build the confidence to say no to the bigger things, like things that only you can do. And lots of people would benefit if you would just give your time to this. To make saying no easier, prepare a script or rehearse a response for common situations. And remind yourself that saying no is an act of self care and not a rejection of others. Number 2 is feeling responsible for others' emotions. An example of this is constantly worrying about making others upset or angry and changing your own behavior to keep people happy, even at the expense of your own well being. An intervention for this is to develop self awareness by recognizing when you're absorbing other people's emotions. When there are strong emotions in the air, practice distinguishing between what you actually feel and what the other person is expressing. You'll need to remind yourself that you're not responsible for how others feel. Number 3, being unable to express your personal needs or opinions. So in a relationship, you don't express your desires or opinions. You go along with what the other person wants, neglecting your own needs. And this is pretty common if you're conflict avoidant. You'd rather go along with what the other person says than challenge them or ruin the mood with your contrary opinion. Here's one thing you can do. Start by identifying your own needs and opinions in private through journaling or self reflection or through the narrative identity exercise that I'll talk about next week. Think of opinions that you've held back on expressing for fear of starting an argument or being judged. Practice spontaneously voicing these opinions around people who are supportive and open minded, so they won't mind you saying these things and give you the space to do so. This practice will help you build up to expressing them in situations where you can't predict the reactions. Number 4 is feeling guilty when prioritizing yourself. And this is related to being unable to say no, but this is specifically around the issue of putting yourself first when you do say no or think about saying no. An example is feeling a ton of guilt when you set aside time for self-care or personal interests. You don't feel good about doing that because you believe it's a waste of productive time or selfish not to be available to others. Here's an example. Let's say you're an accountant by trade, and during tax season, when you're working long hours, your friend asks you to give them a call later this evening so they can run some ideas by you regarding their taxes before they meet with their accountant. Or worse, your good friend asks if you don't mind giving their sister some advice, and you're not friends with their sister. Now, at the end of the workday, you're exhausted and you need downtime. The last thing you want to do is come home and spend an hour on the phone talking business with someone as a favor to a friend. You say no so that you can come home and watch television, but you can't enjoy it very much because you feel guilty that you're choosing television over your friend's request. What you can do here is challenge the validity of your guilt-inducing thoughts and replace them with affirmations that emphasize the importance of self-care. Recognize that taking care of yourself enables you to be more present and supportive of others. Number 5 is sharing personal information too quickly or with the wrong people. In this scenario, you overshare personal history or secrets in inappropriate settings or before you've established trust. A solution here is to develop a checklist of what information you are comfortable sharing, with whom, and under what circumstances. To help you get started, here are some topics to think twice about before disclosing. Medical conditions and treatment, mental health conditions and struggles, issues with parents, siblings, or extended family, past trauma experiences, past problems in romantic relationships, controversial political or religious views, and finances like your salary, debt, and spending habits. This is not an exhaustive list, and they are not topics that are completely off limits. They are topics that require you to read the room first because they may make people feel uncomfortable, judged, vulnerable, or overwhelmed, just to name a few emotions that these topics could evoke. To use a business analogy, it's like doing a hard sell to a cold lead. You need a certain amount of permission to share some things with people, and likewise, the other person should earn your trust before you share intimate details of your mental life. If you have loose boundaries, you likely struggle to know what's too intimate too soon. And that's where pausing and thinking about these things can help you gain better control over what you share. For more on understanding your mental life and your narrative identity,
All right. So, a lot of activity in the chat. Um, and for those that I know, I'll make myself available after class to speak. But what I want you to kind of focus on in this particular setting, in what we've just talked about, was there is some boundaries that you have to set for yourself. I know a lot of times when we as parents once again feel guilty, we will either overcompensate or over um do some things in order to try to make the other person feel okay. But in the process, we're exhausting ourselves. So what the thought is today is that when that happens, how do you take care of yourself? If you would put some ways that you handle yourself in the in the comment section. How do you handle yourself when you know that you are overcompensating for something that you probably shouldn't. So I have adult children now. They know I talk about them, so it's okay. And a lot of times when they come home or come to the house, I I may not have what they want to eat or what I want to prepare for them. So I'm running around. I'm going to this store, going to this store. And no, that doesn't have to be a stressful situation. But if I worked an 8 hour day and now I'm trying to go and run and do and get all of this stuff done, then it can become to be something more of a task. So the suggestion to myself would be when I find out that they're coming, then maybe ask them to go and pick up some things so I won't be running around so much as soon as I get off from work. Having them to contribute to the meeting at during that time. A lot of times we put a lot of extra stress, a lot of extra trauma on ourselves because we're trying to do more than we have the capacity to do. And when I talk about capacity, that means that the the amount of you have after a 8 hour day or a 12-hour day at work. You're going to be tired. You're going to probably want to go home and maybe lay down for a little bit or something like that. And the people that are in your lives, if they care about you, right, they will be like, you know what, go home and take a nap, and when you get up, we can do what we were going to do then, because what they're concerned about is your well-being as well, right? But that's what relationships, that's what good, strong, true relationships are about, right? They're about you being able to say what you need and what you can do to the people that you love. Now, there's going to be some that want it their way, right? And most of the time, those are our children because we've conditioned them in such a way where that's what they look for, right? So, yeah. Well, hello there, Tiffany. Good to see you. Um, and yeah, so when you think about that, right, when you think about the things that you bring to your family, like, if you're having a bad day, you might bring stress home, and you may not feel like that you're stressed, but then one of your children says, what's wrong with you? And you say, what you mean, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? And it's a back and forth that's now about to happen. And now everybody started to feel a certain way. The way you deal with that is that you pay attention to what's happening in the moment. That means that you're being proactive in your relationship. You're like, wait a minute. Okay, I'm tired. So let me do what I need to do for me to not take out the way that I feel on these people that are now wanting to be here with me or wanting to be around me, right? So that's one thing. But the other thing in setting boundaries within family and with your children is your self-care practices, right? Um Now during the pandemic, self-care became such a big thing, right? But self-care is actually something that you do every day and you may not even realize it. Wellness, taking care of yourself, making sure that you brush your teeth, making sure that that you wash your face and that you deal with your hygiene. That is self-care. But we've kind of made self-care a kind of glorified thing, right? Where we're gonna go to the spa, and we're gonna go get our nails done, our feet done. I mean, those are things that you can do, but I want you to know that there are a lot of different ways that you can do self-care. So with that being said, if you have, family members that disregard your well-being, those are people that you're going to have to truly learn how to say no to. For a long time I couldn't say no to my mom. Like, I mean, I was always running to go and do, and my children too, always running to go do what they needed me to do. And at the end of the day, I would be exhausted, like just tired because I've worked and now I'm going to go do this. You have to pace yourself because the older that you get, you know, you get a little tireder quicker, or if you haven't ate, you'll get a little more fatigued. So you have to pay very close attention to your body and your mental state, right? If you're getting angry really quick and you're starting to kind of like pop off, or I use pop off a lot. If you're starting to say things that you won't normally say, or if you're starting to get frustrated real easily, either pay attention to what might be happening. You may be hungry, you may be tired, and you may need to take care of that need for yourself because you're just as important, right? And it's important that, hey, you have to say, hey mom, hey kids, look, I need to go and take a nap. I need to take some rest for a little bit. If they do not understand this, you have to be able to say, okay, I'm sorry, but this is what I have to do for me in order to be able to be productive for you. Once again, we talk about that whole statement of putting the mask on yourself first, right? We put the mask on ourselves first so that we can breathe while we're helping other people. Because if you can't breathe, you're going to be now focused on what's going on with you, right? All right. So, I know that this was like a kind of quick class, but I hope that you were able to gather some nuggets. One, pertaining to discipline and punishment, understanding that they are two entirely different things. One is to teach, and the other one is to uh, it really just inflict harm, right? So you have to think about that. And how do you want your children to be able to thrive in the world if you're punishing them all the time? Discipline requires teaching. There's teaching that goes along with discipline. So I suggest that you just erase punishment out of your vocabulary and turn it over to discipline, right? And that you learn, as we do in this class, you learn ways to discipline that does not inflict harm but that teaches, right? So that's what we'll do with that. Then with boundaries, that you are promoting and building healthy boundaries within your family structure, and that even within your extended relationships, like at work and other places too, church, everywhere you go, you have to be able to say no, because if not, they will exhaust you, and you'll be tired, and you won't be able to do a lot of things because you'll overextend yourself. So I just want to give you that today. I hope today's class was beneficial for you. If you are looking to learn some more, we will be in session next Tuesday. We will be in the office. We will have dinner together. We will do all of the stuff. I just want to make sure that I keep people safe and that I use wisdom, making sure that spaces are clean and the air is purified, because that's important. We have babies that come into our spaces, so I just wanted to make sure that you understood that is not that Miss Sharice didn't want to have a class today in person, but that I want to make sure that we continue to do safety precautions, because there is another level of virus. And that's the thing. We can't determine how this goes. We just have to do the best we can in order to keep one another safe. So, today's class was the last class on understanding boundaries. We talked about discipline versus punishment, and we also talked about the 5 stages of healthy boundaries. So if that's what I have for you today. I didn't do a whole lot more. We will start our new cohort, which is 4 weeks, and it will be understanding emotions. It starts next Tuesday. We meet at 5 o'clock so that we can eat At 5:30, we clean up, and then we start our class within 5:30 to 6, and we go from there. If you're not able to meet with us in person, there is a online class afterwards from 8:30 to 9:30. But you have to let me know if you need to have that class, because if there's not going to be anyone to be a part of the online class, we won't do it. So yeah, I have to know so that it can be available for you, because it doesn't make sense for me just to be there, right? Right. All right. So my name is Sheree Stapleton. I am a local pastor here in Flint and Genesee County, who is the executive director for Mothers of Joy Institute for Parenting and Family Wellness, where we provide what's called a trauma-informed approach to parenting, and we help parents to parent well. I thank you for being a part of our online class today, that actually streamed over 3 media platforms. It streamed over the Mothers of Joy Institute page. It also streamed over my personal page, but it also went to our YouTube page. So if you know someone that you think would benefit from being a part of these classes, we're expanding our reach. We'll have more teachers, more providers moving forward. I'm excited about that with this upcoming year in our grant cycle. So I look forward to that. I pray that you have a great night and that you remember to have healthy boundaries, and that it's okay to say no, but also that you choose discipline over punishment. Thank you. And I look forward to seeing you again. Talk to you soon. Bye bye for now.